Alright, what is good, ladies and gentlemen? It is the Mass Reviewer back again with another review, and today we are doing a review for Rio 2. This is another rewatch for me, and it is in preparation for a viewer recommendation, which is going to be my next recording. And at the moment, I haven't uploaded the previous video that should be up by now, but as of the time I'm recording this, I didn't upload it. And I am planning to make some edits to it, so I don't know if I ended up cutting this part out, but in general, I did mention in that video that I'm going to be slowing down the amount of recommendations that I end up doing, as in, like, you guys, you commenters, like, you can still comment as much as you want, but I am going to be, I think starting after this most recent recommendation, I'm going to be starting like a new rule for myself, where it's like each commenter, I only do one recommendation per comment per video per week. So it's like you can leave as many recommendations as you want, but I'm only going to end up doing one recommendation for each commenter in a week, because otherwise, like, there are certain repeat recommenders, which I do appreciate, but they are going to be, like, they do leave a lot of recommendations, and just for the sake of my own work study balance and stuff, I'm going to be, if someone posts like 2 different recommendations, one of them I will do in 1 week, and then the next week I will do the next one. So you can leave as many as you want, but it is just going to be I will get to the recommendations weekly by now, because otherwise, like, it's gonna make things it's just gonna be too much for me to be able to get through. So anyway, yeah, with that out of the way, let us begin. Starting off with the plot. So the plot of Rio 2 is that it pretty much it picks up not directly after Rio 1, but well, kind of, I mean, depending on, they don't make it explicit how much time passed, but basically, Jewel and Blue are married, they have kids, and they are currently in Rio. However, Tulio and Linda, they are on an expedition in the Amazon, and they end up making a discovery that there may be other blue Spix macaws in the Amazon. So Blue and Jewel, they hear the news, they hear this news on the news, and then they decide to go. Jewel really wants to find some other blue macaws, and so Blue's kind of more hesitant about it, but then they end up going on a trip along with Rafael and Pedro and Nico. They end up going to the Amazon, where they end up meeting Jewel, her father, as well as her tribe. I guess she used to be part of a tribe, and so they end up reuniting, and it's a nice reunion scene. I did like the reunion scene between Jewel and her father, Eduardo. And then the movie just basically kind of becomes a fish out of water movie, where Blue does not really fit into the new tribe and stuff. Everyone else is kind of reintegrating much better. Like Jewel, she is like, this is her family, and this used to be her home, so she very easily reconnects with everyone. She has like old friends, Roberto, like her father, her aunt and stuff. All of Jewel and Blue's kids, Bia, Tiago, and what is the other one's name? It's not listed here for some reason. It was Bia, Tiago, and I cannot find it at the moment. That's annoying, so I'm going to just check real quick. The third one is called Carla. I do not remember that. But anyway, so yeah, they all much better, they much better integrate into the Amazon, much more than Blue does. And so a lot of the movie is just Blue struggling to fit in with everyone else. Meanwhile, while this is happening, you have Nigel. He makes a return, and he's a lot less he feels like a lot less of a threat in this film. He's like much more played for comic relief, which it's fine. I do appreciate his. I think the comedy that's done with him in this film is probably better than the last one, but I do think that they do scale down the not antagonistic, but he's still pretty antagonistic, but he doesn't feel as much like a threat than he did in the last one. So, and besides him, so he's still out for revenge on Blue, and there's also the villain, who I don't know if he actually has a name, but he is the guy that is in charge of the logging crew that is trying to clear out the forest in order for whatever illegal logging business. I don't know if he actually has that. I'll check real quick, just a second. His name is Big Boss, so there's definitely a Metal Gear reference in there. So, but anyway, so yeah, he is trying to clear out the forest, and in turn as well clearing out all the blue macaws and stuff. And so yeah, the film is basically Blue. He's trying to fit in, and most of the film, it doesn't work. But then eventually, when he sees that the humans are trying to destroy the Amazon forest, then he kind of proves himself to be he also, there's like a plot line where he accidentally crosses over into territory that's not part of the blue macaws. It's part of this like rival bird tribe's territory, and so he ends up like starting a war, which is basically just a soccer game, and then he enters the soccer game, and then he accidentally scores on his own team, losing the blue macaws the game, and so they lose like all of their territory. And so yeah, everyone's upset at him, but then he kind of redeems himself when he saves everyone from the humans. So yeah, overall that's pretty much most of the plot, I think. Afterwards, yeah, and then they manage to stop the humans from destroying the Amazon forest, and then I guess they kind of decide that they do end up moving to the Amazon. I think Blue's family as well, but then I think they agree like maybe they'll visit Rio in the summers and stuff. So so yeah, overall the plot, it's definitely not as good as the first film, but I would say that I don't really like it too much. It's like I'll call it like a 5 out of 10. It's like not good, but it's not bad. I'd say it's very plain, and it doesn't feel as interesting as the last film, where it's like they're trying to Blue and Jewel, they get chained, they get kidnapped by smugglers, they escape, and then they are trying to get the chain off for most of the film, while the smugglers are trying to retrieve them, as well as Tulio and Linda. I thought that it was much more engaging, it felt like, and this film, it just kind of feels like, it feels like, first of all, something that we've seen before. We've seen this whole cliche of like a character in a new, like the fish out of water environment, where it's like he doesn't feel like he fits in and everyone else is kind of fitting in better than him. It's been done before, and so it just doesn't feel the most original. So but even so, it's not like done terribly, so I'm just gonna give it a 5 out of 10 for the plot. In terms of the characters, Blue, so because of the fact that he's like meant to be the fish out of water, the one that is not integrating well compared to everyone else, he is like comes off in this film not as like in the last film, it was like, yeah, he's also kind of a fish out of water being in Rio, but it felt more natural. Not more natural, it felt like more you sympathize with him better. I don't even know how to describe it, but in this film, I feel sorry for him more, and in the last film it felt more like I don't know, I didn't feel like I didn't feel as sorry for him in the last film. In this film, I just feel kind of bad for him like the entire time when he's struggling. I think Jewel, like, she's a lot worse in this film, just for the fact that like she asks him like what happened there in the soccer game, and then Blue like expresses his troubles with this whole them being in the Amazon and not being in their home, like in their home of Rio, and she's very dismissive of it by saying, you should really think about like what's best for the family and stuff. And it felt like you don't like talk it through with him, like try to comfort him and stuff. Like he's clearly struggling, and that just seems like a very really mean thing to say to him at the time. Other than that, you have Nico and Pedro. They return. They don't feel as prominent kind of as they did in the last film, as well as Raphael. They're kind of just like in the background trying to do auditions for Carnival, which they end up hosting in the Amazon. So yeah, but they're fine, the bits with them. Who else? Tulio and Linda, they're back. They're married in this one, which I do appreciate. I do like that they don't bring back Fernando, but they actually do show him. Like there's a scene where it's like Fernando says hi to Jewel as she's flying by. So I do appreciate that they are not completely forgetting about him, and they're still referencing him and stuff. Linda and Tulio, I do think that they're good in this. They're about as good as I'd say in the last film. Like not much better, but not much worse. Like they're good characters, and I think they're still good characters in this film. I don't really care about any of Jewel or Blue's children, Bia, Tiago, Carla. Like they're not very interesting, to be honest. Like I don't really care for them at all. There is Eduardo, who is meant to be like the opposition. I get the one that like is giving Blue a hard time throughout this whole process of like I guess it's not him moving to the jungle, because at the time he doesn't realize that he's moving, but the whole process of him like being introduced to the Amazon, I guess. So Eduardo is fine. He's meant to be like more antagonistic, but he's not a bad character, I think. So Roberto, I thought Roberto was fine. He is also meant to be like a lot of these character types we have seen before. Roberto is like the one where he's kind of like the character that Blue gets jealous of, because he feels like Jewel might be kind of in love with him still or something like that, because they knew each other from when they were kids. I do like Roberto more so towards the end, where it's like he starts freaking out and stuff about like because he has like past trauma from being with humans, where they used to like feed him crackers all the time. So I thought that was a nice detail, and I did like Roberto like towards the end of the film much more than when he's just kind of this opposition to Blue. So who else? Nigel, and I thought Nigel was good in this film. Like definitely he feels much different than the last film, but I think it works. I do think that I think it works. And other than that, you have Gabby, who is the one, she's like this poisonous frog that it's not actually poisonous, revealed at the end of the film. So I did think that she was good. She's like kind of along with Nigel, so I enjoyed the bits with her. There was Charlie, who was this anteater who was also along with Nigel and Gabby, who I didn't really talk, but he was good as well, so no complaints there. Anyone else that I did not mention that I should mention? There's Aunt Mimi, I guess I don't care for at all. She's just the aunt of Jewel, I guess, so nothing to say about her. Luis is in this a bit, so definitely not as much as the last film, but he's here and there. So I think did I mention the boss? The boss, I don't really care for him. He is not as good of a villain as I like the smugglers in the last film. You had I forgot their names, but Tipa, Armando, and Marcelo, yeah, that's their name. So I did like them as villains in the last film. They felt like very, fun and entertaining, as well as like pretty, like a decent threat. Big Boss here, he is just a, insert Metal Gear Solid reference, but he is basically just, I don't know, he just feels like there's no personality to him. He's just like this guy that is doing illegal stuff, and that's it. So he's a monkey, and I just recently, before this it should be, the upload should be released by now for my review for The Secret Life of Pets 2. And in that film, there was also like an evil monkey. So I forgot that there was an evil monkey in this film as well. So another, I'll say this now, I think it should be up by now, but the next recording I'm about to do is going to be for the comparison for The Secret Life of Pets 2 and Rio 2. So that's like the viewer recommendation that I have. So I'm going to be doing the recording for that next. And I think I'll say this now, I'll add a category in there for the monkeys. I'll compare the monkeys, say which one's better. So yeah, overall the characters, I would probably give like I'll go with like a 6. I'll say that they're above average. Like, I don't think that, some of them are still good. Some of them are a bit worse. Some of them are kind of just didn't change. So overall, I'll just say a 6 out of 10. Like, they're above average, I'd say. So in terms of the settings, I think that this is definitely a downgrade. I did like the whole setting of Rio de Janeiro in the first film. It does feel like very unique, and it is a very nice setting. The Amazon, however, it's like not a bad setting or anything, but it does just kind of feel like more generic jungles and stuff, and less so actual like locations that there was more so in Rio. So because of that, I'm going to say that the setting, it didn't really work for me as much as I was hoping. Like, I have seen this before, but I was hoping that, I didn't remember how much I like the settings, but on rewatch, it doesn't really work for me as well as I would have hoped going into it on rewatch. So I'm going to say the settings, I don't think they're bad, but I don't think they're like really good either. So I'm just going to say a 5 out of 10. I think maybe towards the end where it's like you have like the landscapes and stuff. I thought there was a really good scene where it's like Blue actually like he sees the destruction of the forest and stuff. I thought that was a good scene. So kind of related to the settings, but yeah, I would say the settings are a 5 out of 10. I don't really care for them. They're not good, but they're not bad. So in terms of the art style, this came out in 2014. I'm very surprised by that. This came out way earlier than I thought it would. I thought this came out in like 2016, maybe 2017, but no, this came out 11 years ago. This came out. That is incredible. Actually, almost 12 years ago by now. Because, yeah, we're almost in 2026, so that is interesting. So, yeah, so the original film came out in 2011. This one came out in 2012, and, not 2012, 2014. And the art style doesn't really change much from the last film. I don't think it's, like, worse in any way. I don't really think it is better. So I'm going to give the art style, I would say, like, a 5.5. It's decent. It's not really, one of my favorites or anything. So, I don't remember what I rated in the first film, but it's decent. It's fine. I don't really care for it too much. So, in terms of the comedy, this is listed as a comedy. There wasn't really too many jokes that made me laugh. There was a bit with, I said this, Nigel, I thought that he was, they much more focused on the comedic aspects of his character rather than the, like sinister aspects. Like he doesn't feel as threatening, but he feels more comedic. So I did appreciate that more. But besides that, I didn't really find too many jokes, funny. If there were any, it didn't really feel like there were a lot of jokes. I felt like a lot of the jokes in the first film, maybe they stemmed from some of the smugglers and also just Blue being in like a different situation, but it didn't, he's also in a different situation in this film, but it doesn't feel as, I don't know, it felt better in the last film, I guess. So in terms of the comedy, I'm just going to give it like a, I don't know, like a 5 to a 5.5, and I will be, I'm going to be harsh with it. I'm just going to call it a 5. Like, I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was bad, though. Like, I guess it's just not very memorable. So, in terms of the music, this is, yeah, once again, there's a lot of music in this film. It's definitely not as good as the first film. I thought the first film, the music was like, I think I rated it like great or something, or maybe even amazing. I don't remember at this point, but, yeah, the last film had like really good music. This film, it has some good music. They had like Nigel do a cover of "I Will Survive." I thought that was like pretty good, as well as the ending song. I thought the ending song was actually really good. The opening, not as good as the opening from the last film. I thought the opening from the last film was like great song. There was no song on the level of "I Want to Party," or I think it's called like "Hot Wings," but that was from the first film. So I would say overall the music, it was. I really didn't like the introduction song for the Amazon. I don't know why. Like the song where it's like where they first get to the Amazon, they celebrate Jules' return with like with a song like yeah, it's a song to celebrate her return. So I don't know, it didn't really work for me as much as I would have hoped. So like, not to say it's a bad song, I don't think it's a bad song, but like definitely that was probably one of my least favorite. I don't know if this film film has more music or less music, but it does kind of feel like there's a bit less. But overall, I would say the music, it is I go like a 6.5, like maybe a 6.5 to a 7 between good and pretty good, but I'm going to be harsh and just call it good. It's good music. I do think that a lot of the tracks work. It's definitely not as good as the first film though. So in terms of the worst thing, what is the worst thing about this film? I don't know, it kind of feels like they're reusing some of the same like plot points of like Blue feels left out and stuff. He feels like he doesn't belong in, but it feels like it's being done worse in this film. So I think that's probably the worst thing about the film. And I would say that it is done, I don't know, the fact that they're just like reusing the same plot point and it's not really done better. And so I'm just going to say that that is, I'll say like bad. I'm going to give it a 4. Just the fact that they're like reusing a plot point and they're doing it worse. So I'd say that that's bad. In terms of the best thing, what is the best thing? I'm not sure. I don't really have anything in mind. I do like, I still like Nigel's character. I don't think this is the best thing though. I'm just going to reuse the best score, which was the music. I'll say a 6.5. Definitely like the last track of the movie I did actually really like. I might end up I might re-listen to it again, and maybe if I see it's on Spotify, then I might end up adding it. So, but yeah, that is all the categories. So any extra notes I have? Let's see here. I mentioned that they referenced Fernando, which was nice. Anything else that I didn't already mention? No, I think I mentioned everything by now, so I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. So it ends up coming out to about a 5.5, which would be decent. And I think I'd maybe give it a bit, I think I'd give it a bit higher. I think I would give it like I think I'd give it like a 6. I think it's like above average, but I definitely think that it is a step down from the first film. I think I gave like the first film like an 8 or something. Great. And I would say that this one, it's like, you know, it's not bad, but it's definitely, it's above average, I'd say. It's still like good elements of it that work. Definitely though, just a step down from the first film, sadly. So yeah, I'd give it like a 6 out of 10 above average, I'd say. So, but yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. So if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe possibly check it out. But with that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.